What's up, guys? Wanted to make a video today on some stuff I've been learning about. It's really made a lot more sense to me about exposure therapy and how it works to defeat your depersonalization, your fears during it, or your puro, OCD, anxiety, all that stuff, period, can be used. It's the most successful way to treat all of it, but hearing that's one thing, but actually understanding how it works is another. Um, in your brain, you have your amygdala. I think that's how you pronounce it, and its primary job is fight or flight, whatever. I believe that's correct, and it's what keeps you keeps you keeps you alive, keeps you it was a good thing for running away from predators in ancient times. Not so good for running away from certain things in modern day times. Um, it it's pretty scary, and how drastic it can become. But it's one of those things. It's only activated during your stress response. Normally, it sits passively, and it's just watching your life until your stress response is activated, or it deems something worth activating over. That's when it kicks on. But actually, it the reason it only kicks on during those anxiety, panic attacks, fight or flight moments. And because of that, that's why you can sit there, during a non-anxious time when you're feeling normal, and totally rationalize everything to yourself. I know this is irrational. I know I know that a panic attack's not going to kill me. I know that it's just highly uncomfortable, and all that. You can sit there when you're not stressed or anything, and think that, but and then all of a sudden you have a panic attack, and all that just gets tossed out the window, and you freak out, and all of a sudden you think you're gonna die, you think this panic attack's gonna kill you, all this kind of stuff. And the reason for that is, like I said, it only becomes active during your fight or flight response. So all that rationalizing you did beforehand really isn't you're not teaching it anything. It's a very, very ancient system that's kept us alive for a long time, and you can't the amygdala doesn't operate on logic. The only way it can learn and not fear a situation anymore is during the fight or flight response, or during your stress response, which is actually the only time that it's on. It's the only time it's not the only time it's used. It's the only time it's learning and active, and the only time it can be proved wrong and so-called rewired to not be scared of a situation is to get into the situation that scares you the most and causes that stress response. And once you're into it, you're having the panic attack, whatever, and it comes to realize that I'm no longer it exposes it to this situation, aka exposure therapy, and then it realizes I'm still alive, I'm not hurt, I'm not dead, nothing's trying to kill me, so on and so forth. It realizes that that there's no threat, and it rewires it to no longer be afraid of that. But you can only do that through being in the fear, because that's the only time that it's on. So you truly do have to expose yourself to the fear and the panic and the scaredness to overcome said fears, because it's the only time that portion of your brain is active. Another thing is a lot of people that have bad anxiety or depersonalization, derealization, and all those fears and everything, they start to work on it, and they start to really try to go out there and live and stuff like you have to do to recover, and they start to complain, I'm not getting any better. I'm getting worse actually, and this is actually a good thing. As weird as that sounds, that's actually a positive because the brain is resistant to change. It doesn't like to change, and when it's in a state of depersonalization, whatever, when it's in a heightened state of awareness and a panic state, trying to keep you alive, trying to keep you safe, it doesn't like to change because it's trying to protect you. So it's going to be resistant to change, and hence the feeling worse when you start to face your fears and whatnot. So whenever you're putting yourself in a situation that you start to feel worse, that's actually a very positive thing and actually a good step forward, because when you start to feel worse with it, it's actually teaching your brain that the situation's okay and that it's okay to turn that response off, that depersonalization response, or those anxious feelings and the stress and the fight or flight. Your brain's constantly learning, and it exists to keep us safe, but that's how you teach it to. It's how you really come to master it, is knowing these facts, knowing how it operates and the reasons it does what it does. You can start to control it better. And so sorry, I keep looking at it, jotting me down a few little bullet points, and just to try to talk over, because like the rest of during this, you're the brain fog and everything. It's hard to, you can sit there and try to remember all you want to before you make a video or do anything, and you're gonna forget parts of it. So I jotted a few down, and that's how you stop your avoidance behaviors and your compulsive thoughts, whatever. And that's more of the pure section. When you have the depersonalization, whatever, you get stuck in the pure loop, or the pure OCD, and a lot of times people don't realize it in the pure because you're not having physical compulsions. It's mental thoughts. It's you think about a bad thought, so you immediately sit there and have to think, and rationalize it to yourself. That's another thing, that those thoughts don't operate on logic. Those they don't operate on rationality, whatever. You have to expose yourself to them, allow yourself to feel them, and realize that they're okay and they're not going to hurt you, whatever. And those thoughts that if you're sitting there thinking, what if I fall, what if I fall off this bridge, or what if I just somehow my body takes over and takes off running, and does this, that, or whatever. It's that kind of stuff. You can't sit there and rationalize it yourself. You just have to allow yourself to think them, and eventually they will subside, because the brain realizes they're not a threat. Much like and you only get that through the pure O, because you start obsessing about your health, and you start self-monitoring heart rate, breath, whatever, because of your health anxiety, because you think the whole world and everything possible could be wrong with you, so you start to monitor everything, and that just makes it worse. So to defeat this, the DP, the DR, the anxiety, puro, exposure therapy, expose yourself to these things, and yes, it will feel worse at first. And a lot of people think, I went out and I started living, and I can't realize, I can't figure out why I'm feeling worse instead of better, because at first you will feel worse, and that's progress. Stop taking that as a negative thing, and that you need to go back into your your safe zone, or wherever you feel comfortable, not having a panic attack, whatever, and really get out there and realize that that negative feeling, that that scaredness, whatever, and you're like, why am I not feeling better? Because at first it's gonna feel worse. Like I said, your brain is resistant to change. It's trying everything in its power to keep you from doing anything that could hurt it, that it's now taking as something that could harm you, though it's not. You have to retrain it to let it know that this situation's okay, this is okay, that's okay, and those feelings of panic and stuff will eventually subside, because you're reteaching your brain. And another way I put it is, a lot of people who get DP, DR, whatever, think to themselves, I realize I have this and all that, but there is no way that that's all that could be wrong with me is anxiety, because it's so intense. Sometimes I can't see right, sometimes I can't think right, my brain fog, I'm slow, I feel dumb, I'm feeling, feel like I'm not in my body. I feel like someone else is thinking for me. I feel like these aren't my thoughts or my memories, detached from emotions, so on and so forth. Think about it like this. DPDR comes from anxiety, and DPDR from anxiety comes from that obsessional thought loop, plus an impossibly, ridiculously tired brain. Your brain's gotten so stressed that it finally shut down, and just pure anxiety. And so I put it like this. Let's say you're going somewhere, and you're eating a sandwich, and you start to choke on that sandwich, and there's people right in the next room. Let's say there's a glass window in between you and them, and you're choking, and you're gonna die if no one helps you and gives you the Heimlich maneuver. Would you walk up to that window and just barely tap on it and be like, "Hey guys, I need some help. Is it cool if somebody helps me?" Or would you be freaking out, beating that window down, screaming, having your hands around your neck, like, "Please, someone help give me the Heimlich maneuver," whatever. It's the same thing as DP. When your body gets that tired, it's going to send you some hardcore signals to slow down and to get some rest and to let yourself heal, let your mind heal and take a break, stop worrying. It's sending you some hardcore signals of, hey, I need a break. It's the same concept. It's not going to send you some little. It sent you some slight little hints, stress, panic attacks, whatever, and you kept on abusing it and kept on beating a tired horse, and finally it lets you know the real deal, that something's wrong, and something's worn out. It needs a break, and that's what DPDR is. It's an impossibly. I keep saying impossible. That's not the right word. It's a ridiculously tired mind. So you got to give it a break. And I know we'll sit there and say, how can I give it a break and get out and live my life? Practice meditation. Practice anything that you can do to relax. I'm not saying you have to do all this in one day. Take a little while and just stop thinking about DP. Accept that you have it. Be like, okay, this is going to be here for a while. Take some time. Get some good sleep, get some good rest, start eating right, and start to face those fears. I'm not saying you got to start it all in one day while you're so exhausted you can't even, think right. I mean, I know this makes it hard to think, period, but when you're super tired and you're not getting any sleep from researching and being anxious, it makes it even worse. So, if you have this and whatever, take some time, rest, do things to relax you, watch comedy, meditate, do things that do something that makes you happy, whether, anything you can do to relax and just not stop thinking, but just, de-stress, relax, and then start slowly, because of course it's going to be hard, because the second you get back on that horse and try to get out there and start doing something, you're going to freak out again. But that's progress. Stop taking it as negative. That's progress. But you got to get rest, get healed up, and take some time to relax. And then you got to get out there. You got to start crushing these things, because, like I said in here, the only way through it is through it. There's no way around it. You reteach that brain, and that's how you do it. And I know that sounds crazy, that feeling worse is making you better, but I promise you, it's the truth. Hard things are often very rewarding, and this is one of those cases. I'd like to thank you guys for watching the videos. If you got questions, let me know. Like and subscribe. Thanks, guys.